Hey guys, we're gonna do Ellie's makeup today for competition, and we are gonna start by priming her face. Make sure that your face is clean and ready to be primed. I'll show you a couple things I like to use, and then we'll get into eye makeup, foundation, all of that. Use whatever works best on your skin or what's required for the studio. And yeah, so we're gonna get started. Or if you just want. So the first thing I like to do is use a primer for the eyes. And if you look up for me now. And you're gonna see today that I use my fingers a lot. Always handy to have something to wipe your hands off on. Alright, after the eyes are primed, the next thing I like to do is use a spray to prime the rest of her face. It's not really a primer, it's actually a finishing spray. I like this one or this one. Both of those are relatively cheap. And after that, we're ready to start the eyes. So you can use brushes. I sometimes do. Sometimes I like to use my fingers. The most important thing is to make sure that all of your primer that you do is set. I'll show you one eye with a brush and one eye without. I always go in with our darkest shade first, and I like to start on the edge. I like to start here on the corner and just work my way across the lash line a little bit, and then I come up to the top of the eyeball where her crease will be, and I like to go just above that so that I can get a nice thick color. Don't worry about going too high, we'll fix that later. You just keep adding a little bit to your brush and going back over that same area until you get the color that you desire. And it's easier with the primer on the eye. Just go over it. It's a nice deep color. Now here's what I like to do is stick with the same color. So I do both eyes at the same time. Some people finish an eye before they go on to the next one, but I like to work both sides of the face. So here's the finger. I go in with one of my smaller fingers because she's got small eyes. And I just do pretty much the same thing I would do with a brush. Work it over into the edge. It's okay if it goes onto the face or below. That's called fallout, and we'll get that off in a little bit. Sometimes if I feel like I'm making a mess with my bigger fingers, I will use my pinky. That just depends on how you Once we've got the color pretty close to each other and the same amount applied on each side, that is when we'll move on to the next color. I always wipe makeup wipe or something like that. Look at the camera for me. Open your eyes. You can see the fallout here. We'll take care of that later. Next color I'm going to use is the medium color, and I like to swipe that across across the eyelid just to blend that middle area so that it's light and dark. Same concept, but with a brush on the other side. Sometimes you have a little bit more control with the brush. Again, it's whatever you feel comfortable with. Again, going up. I've over blended, there's no harm in going back in with your darker color and just kind of patting it in there to make sure that you have plenty of that darker color so that it really pops on. Again, I'm using finger or brush. Same concept either way. And then comes your lightest shade here. And I use my pinky for that because I don't want to over blend. I don't use the brush at all for that part. I like to start over in the corner and really bring that up and around. You can use a brush, I just don't prefer to. Move on to foundation. I like to use the matte poreless one by Maybelline. Again, whatever you feel comfortable with. They're so young right now, you don't have to, but this is what matches her skin tone. She's really pale under here, and we don't want to make this not match this. And I just dab a little bit on my hand. So. And I like to use a beauty blender. I always wet mine. Not sopping wet, just damp enough so that you can see that there's like a little bit of texture to it. And I always start just by kind of putting it where I think it needs to be covered the most. Again, she doesn't really have much to cover at this age. like to use a setting powder, but I don't want to pay a lot, so I use the e.l.f. HD powder.
It's so good.
It's probably my favorite.
I have my own.
No, this is dance powder. And just a big fluffy brush. And if I'm feeling extra like it's gotta last longer, I will pat a nice deep amount here under the eyes and on the cheeks, and just kind of let it sit there for a little bit while she blows it all away. And then I'll take that same brush and just gently swipe. I know it looks like it might be a lot, but in a few hours when she's worn it and she's sweating and dancing and all warmed up and ready to go on stage, we don't want her glistening. My next step is to use the blush brush. Again, use whatever you have, and just go in and do some blush. I like a lot on my brush when I first start, and I can blend it back out if I need to. I always start right here. I don't start here or up here, just so I have an even amount starting. Try to stay up close to the eye and work out. Always work out, never. This is the part that everybody differs from. She's so fair that I like to add a little tiny bit on her nose to give her nose back some definition. And I take just a smidge, blow it off, and just gently do a little bit up above the hairline, but not a lot, because I'm going to take some bronzer, which this is an old ColourPop one, but you don't have to use it. You can use a different bronzer, or you don't have to use a bronzer at all. I just like to personally use a bronzer because she's so fair, she needs a little bit of definition in her face. Up. And this is the part where you kind of make sure that the hairline, and this is where I usually already have her hair done, the hairline is showing because she's so fair in here. I just gently pat some of it into the hairline and down around the face, and then just a little bit on the other side, and just to the cheek, not into the blush. And then I like to take the same big fluffy brush that is left and just ensure that it's nice and blended. Now is the time to talk about false eyelashes, your glue, your mascara, your eyeliner and your eyebrow pencil, and your other eyeliner that's literally sparkly. It will differ from person to person. No, we're going to do it all. However, with these were the wrong ones. It was just ones that I had. They applied the same. I'm going to show you how I like to apply, but first I'm going to show you the steps to getting there. The first thing I like to do is use my eyeliner. It's a bit tricky to show on camera, but this one is the brush one. And what I like to do is, have her tip up, I anchor my hand on her mouth, close your eye, and I like to hold here and draw starting in the up on the wing part. Make a nice wing straight down like that, and then I finish the rest of the line over like so. And this is the part where you can fix the wing, make it longer, wider, bigger, whatever you need. And then the same with the other side. Anchor the mouth, hold the eyebrow, make a wing to the corner, and then come up this side. And no opening your eyes, let it sit and dry. And while that's drying, the next best thing to do is get your eyelash curler ready. And I always have scissors. These just happen to be giant ones, but I always have scissors with me in some way to cut the eyelashes. So as you can see, they're a bit big, and they are long for her eyes. So we're gonna go ahead and measure them right now. This one. So I like to start from the corner and measure out. So they're just a little bit big. I generally cut just this end little bit off. And again, I like to measure once I've cut those to keep them about the same length here. I cut it here instead of measuring her eye, but sometimes it's better to measure her eye. Just know these. You're going to want to curl the natural eyelashes. I always use my fingers or a pair of tweezers. So what I like to do is, here's my tweezers. I like to get my eyelash glue, and I bend and just kind of break up that plastic piece that's holding them together. And you got a good nice eye shape to it. And then I just take the eyelash glue and just put it on your, let it sit for a second or two. I'm gonna let it dry, because if you put it on wet, it's just gonna slip around. Grab your tweezers, and I like to hold in the middle. There are applicators that are a lot better. If you don't like the shape, now's the time to change. I'm gonna tip down. Now we're ready to apply the lash. This part you're gonna have to hold still and lay it right on that line you've created with your eyeliner. Where you just kind of take and pinch them together, the natural eyelash. It's nice and set, and let that one dry. And break that plastic up a little bit. That's fun. I'm just gonna flip it around a bit, shape it the way you want it, and then again with the eyeliner or the eyelash glue, just right on that plastic part. And again, use your tweezers and close your eye. Let those dry, and while you're doing that, I like to use just a little bit of my pencil. She doesn't really need it for the color. I just like to add in the back side of her eyelashes, or the eyebrow, because she is a little bit thin there. And so I just kind of make a few lines in there. And then the most important part is to brush it to make sure everything's laying down. You're fine, you don't need to cough. Nope, because now we're going to add our sparkles. No, we're gonna do the sparkles. They go right on top of the lashes. You can, if you feel like you need to, you can take some of your black and just go over the top. We're gonna let them dry. And we're gonna do some quick glitter. I like to wait until we get to the competition to put this on because sometimes it does peel and then you have to reapply. So the less time she has to wear it, the better. Sometimes I put it on before we get there. Now, while she's sitting there with her eyes closed, I like to use a little bit of mascara just on the underneath to kind of blend the rest of those eyelashes together. Alright, we're going to go ahead and just do some quick lipstick. Sometimes I like to put a little liner if I know that her skin is extra dry, which today it seems okay. I just don't want her skin around the lips to soak it up. Just put some lipstick on. This is the berry one. I just grabbed the one that was on top. Rub your lips together.
It does taste good.
It tastes like a berry. And then I like to use a little bit of chapstick just to kind of smooth your lips down.
And it really helps.
You don't have to. It's just what we like to do. The absolute last step, it's probably her least favorite, is to respray her face again. Up and let it dry. Yep, it is the one from the beginning. And you can interchange these. You can use them together, or you can just use one. I like this one, but I use this one as well. You can also run a little bit of mascara on the lower lash. Look up at the camera for me. Under here, you can run a little bit. You just have them look up at the ceiling. Just kind of wiggle. Thanks for watching, guys.